Hi everyone, welcome back to JVF Solutions Weekly Review. We have James here today as well, and we're gonna just review some of the stories that made news this week. To start, we're gonna keep talking a little bit about Threads and Twitter because they have been having some changes around them. Some of the most important ones are the fact that Thread is having some engagement problems, and on response of that, they're having some changes and updates to make it more relatable with consumers and all that good stuff. So, James, you have any thoughts of that?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, the user engagement in Threads is just continuing to drop. Even Facebook published something where I think they said it was at 50% of where it was. Actually, the user base is about 50% of where it was when they peaked at launch. And it's something that we kind of expected. It's a feature in a type of communication on the platform that a lot of people aren't really drawn to. So I find it really difficult to engage with the platform. I don't really see a lot of value in it. It reminds me a lot of Clubhouse in the sense that it had a tremendous amount of buzz when it came out. And I think we've said this in a few different conversations and videos and even some posts on the website. So I think that's really the challenge with it, is that I don't know that people need a separate platform for it. I still predict that what will happen is the Threads feature of being able to do a post without attaching a photo to it will just be a feature they add to Instagram. It'll probably just get integrated, kind of like what they did with IGTV and other things like that. They just bring their features all in together and just make it easy to do from one platform. So that's where I think that one's headed. The other big one that you mentioned is, of course, Twitter.
Twitter has been in the news a lot this week. For those who don't know, they're doing this whole rebranding, and they're also changing some protocols. So consumers from the Twitter platform are trying to see if they're gonna stay there or they want to move towards another apps, things like Threads. One of those changes, they have a verification policy change. They had all this rebranding, and they have like a bunch of protocols that they want to change the way that people interact with Twitter. One of the main ones is the fact that before you can just like go and see Twitter without being signing in your account, but now you actually have to in order to see those posts. So that could be kind of like hard for the customers in the sense that if you're just checking for a specific story and you cannot access it, it's kind of annoying. So yeah, I don't know what you think.
That exactly what you're talking about has been a little bit of a challenge, because a lot of companies, some of the vendors, either the web hosting companies or some of the tools that we use or that our clients use, some of these companies, they'll post their updates about outages on Twitter. And now that you need an account to log in, which of course we have an account, so it's not a problem for us. But sometimes people are hesitant to sign up for different sites, and when they hear things in the news, we know people that they won't get a Facebook account, they won't get a Twitter account. They just like to be able to read what the platform is publishing without actually having to register with them. So that, I think, is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I know the other thing we were talking about was the verification, the blue check mark that that we see everywhere, and that process has been kind of changing and evolving over the last few months. So there's more value, I think, in people that are active in Twitter being a verified account versus not having it. But of course, with that comes an additional cost. So they're changing the way that gets monetized and the price for that. And it used to be, used to be a flat fee, then it became a monthly fee, and now, depending on when people are watching this, it could be completely different. So that's just something to also keep an eye out on Threads. And of course, like, one of the big stories, it had nothing to do with the platform itself, but this kind of cracked me up when I saw it, was the actual headquarters for what's now X. I was going to call it Twitter. In San Francisco, they put the new X logo on the building, and I guess they didn't file a permit, so I guess there's There's this talk about the city having an issue with it. So I mean, it's it's the type of stuff that you see. These brands are always interesting to follow. There's always some drama, and it makes good, I guess, reality TV for us.
Yeah, I mean, like around this whole drama and all these things, I think with all this like change with X and Twitter and stuff, we have to be really careful when we're gonna rebrand our products because it can end up like hurting
Mm.
our company because people are already used to one way to do it, one way to see things. So I think it's gonna be challenging for them to move away from all this drama and like just do things as they wanted to do it.
Right.
But let's see what comes out from that. Moving on to our next story, we're gonna talk a little bit more about WordPress. They're having their new update. It's 6.3, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this update, again, most of the new features that they'll be adding are changes to the editor, the Gutenberg editor. And one thing to be mindful of is when these updates come out. Right now, it's scheduled to come out on August 8th, but that could change. It does change quite a bit.
Okay.
People find bugs, and it's a good thing usually. Like, when things get delayed like that, especially a platform like WordPress, you do want to make sure it's fully tested and all the features are working because one of their most recent updates, 6.2.1, when that came out, there was a bug in there where it broke the way shortcodes were displayed in blocks using Gutenberg. So those Gutenberg blocks, to give you an example of what a shortcode is it's like a small piece of text that you copy and paste into a widget or into a text block, and that will display like a massive amount of things. So like, for example, if maybe you're using a plugin for events and you'll get a shortcode that will show all your events. You just copy that shortcode, put it where you want it on the site, and then boom, it lists out all your events automatically for you. That ended up breaking, and they had to release 6.2.2 to fix that. So we always advise people, and if you go to our website, jvf.com, and go to our articles and look for anything that's tagged with WordPress, you'll see that we provide an overview of the update. And the same advice we put on every single one of these posts is that, make sure that you're either taking a backup of your website or testing it on a staging site, so you have a way to revert back if it breaks functionality on your site. I'm not a big fan of the Gutenberg editor. It's one of my least favorite editors, but we do have some clients that we maintain and manage their sites that are built using that editor. Having a site break with a simple change like that and having it be down for a day or two while you're waiting for the team to fix it can be a disaster. So you want to make sure that you test even these small maintenance updates or minor updates, as in the case of 6.3, to make sure that it's not going to break your website. So again, test, do a test, make sure that you have a backup that you can restore if it breaks your site. The only other thing I can think of that we were going to talk about today was the Meta AI product that's coming out in the next week or couple weeks, which would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it seems like we're gonna have a new tool involving AI. So you know how that works. Like, probably it's gonna be a boom, and it's gonna have to fight against ChatGPT at some point. But that will be interesting. All these AI things are really interesting as well. I don't know if you have any thoughts about it.
Well, it's interesting because Google has Bard that they're working on, and then obviously ChatGPT is the most famous of the AI tools. It'll be interesting to see what people do with Meta's tool when it comes out. I mean, they're promising that it'll do some really cool things, like even some deep fakes. I've read in some articles where they'll be able to animate people and have them talk to you and do some really nice stuff. But again, it's like, I think people are getting a little AI'd out. There's a lot of talk about AI. I mean, we get questions all the time about it, like, using it on your website. Like we actually have a post on it. If you go to jvf.com, we have a post where you can, an article that we just had ChatGPT create an article, and we posted it exactly the way that we received it. So you could kind of see, because that's a question we get a lot, is using AI generated content for social media posts, for content on a website, blog posts, articles, your homework, like
Exactly.
everything. And I think it's great because it's a good time saver. But like the thing you just want to be mindful of is it's not perfect. It's still far from perfect. And you read those articles, you can if you've seen enough of them, you can tell when they're AI generated and when they're real. So a lot of professors, in college are already telling people, they're like, I know if you're using ChatGPT, because you can tell by the way the summary, and a lot of times you just look at the closing and how they close out like an article or any essay that you would have them write. So I mean, it's definitely a cool feature to be looking out for. So with Meta joining ChatGPT, Bard, and all the other tools that are out there, it'll be interesting to just see how that pans out.
We'll figure out how that goes out. And please, if you want to hear more about news, follow us at JVF Solutions. All our social media. We'll be back next week with the weekly review. So see you there.